Today we dive into the extraordinary world of Carmen Dell'Orefice, a true fashion legend. Imagine a model who landed a Vogue cover at just 15 and is still turning heads in her 90s. Carmen's story is not just about striking poses, it's about resilience, reinvention, and redefining beauty standards across 7 decades of the fashion industry. How did an impoverished ballet-loving girl become an ageless icon and one of the world's oldest working supermodels? Stay tuned as we explore Carmen Dell'Orefice's inspiring legacy and impact on fashion history. Welcome to the Fashion Memoir. Let's celebrate fashion one icon at a time. Look 1. From ballet dreams to Vogue covers. Carmen Dell'Orefice was born in New York City in 1931 to an Italian father and a Hungarian mother. As a young girl, she dreamed of becoming a ballerina, never expecting to end up in fashion. Fate intervened when 13-year-old Carmen was discovered on a bus ride to ballet class by the wife of a photographer. This chance encounter led to test photos and soon after an introduction to the world of high fashion. By age 15, Carmen had signed a modeling contract and made her debut in Vogue. In fact, her first Vogue cover came as a teenager, making her one of the youngest cover models ever at that time. Early success, however, didn't mean easy success. Carmen and her parents struggled financially during her rise. With no telephone at home, Vogue editors sent runners to her apartment to inform her of upcoming jobs. Ever resourceful, she would roller skate to photo shoots around New York City to save bus fare. Despite appearing in glamorous magazines, young Carmen was far from a glamorous lifestyle. She was helping her mother sew clothes at night to pay rent and even washing bedsheets in the bathtub between modeling gigs. She was so slender from malnutrition that famed photographers like Horst P. Horst and Cecil Beaton pinned back dresses and padded her curves with tissue during shoots. Carmen later quipped that at 14 she wasn't dreaming of haute couture or diamonds, she was simply grateful not to go hungry and to earn enough for essentials. Yet, even in these humble beginnings, Carmen's unique beauty and poise were undeniable. Her early photographs captured a dark-haired teen with striking features, high cheekbones, and expressive eyes that evoked Renaissance portraits. Designers and photographers took notice. Salvador Dalí, the famous surrealist artist, even chose the teenage Carmen as a muse for one of his paintings. Imagine being painted by Dalí before your 16th birthday. Carmen's collaboration with Dalí, she earned a mere $7.50 modeling fee for which became the stuff of fashion lore. By the late 1940s, Carmen was working with top fashion photographers like Irving Penn and Richard Avedon, building a portfolio that many models could only dream of. She had graced multiple Vogue covers by the time she was 17, and her elegant face became synonymous with post-war high fashion. Look 2. Trials, retreats, and reinvention. By the early 1950s, Carmen was a familiar name in fashion. However, life behind the scenes brought new challenges. In 1952, at just 21, she married her first husband, Bill Miles, and soon had her only daughter, Laura. Balancing family life with modeling was difficult, and it didn't help that Miles exploited her earnings, allegedly intercepting her modeling checks and giving her only a small allowance. This period was a wake-up call. Despite her glamorous images in magazines, Carmen had to fight for financial independence and respect in her personal life. The fashion industry of the mid-20th century was notoriously youth-centric, often considering a model finished by her late 20s. True to the times, Carmen stepped away from modeling in the late 1950s, attempting to settle into a more traditional life. She married twice more, to Richard Hyman in 1959 and later to Richard Kaplan in 1963. For a while, it seemed Carmen's high-fashion fairy tale had ended early. She had traded the runway for domestic life, thinking her brief but bright modeling career was behind her. But Carmen's story was far from over. Reinvention often blooms from necessity, and for Carmen, a turning point came in the late 1970s. After a divorce in the 1970s and facing significant financial troubles, including losses from unwise stock investments, Carmen found herself in need of income. The solution was right in front of her. The fashion world she once ruled was still there, and so was her passion for it. In 1978, at the age of 47, an age when most models had long retired, Carmen made a bold return to modeling. It was a move few could have imagined. Here was a woman approaching 50, re-entering an industry fixated on youth. Yet Carmen approached this second act with confidence. Her comeback was not just a quiet return, it was a triumphant reinvention. Carmen updated her look and embraced her maturity. By this time, she had transitioned from her youthful dark locks to a striking silver grey hair, a look that would become her signature. Rather than hide her age, she owned it. As Carmen herself reflected later, "When I was 40, I was 40. I didn't want to be 20. She understood that her allure came from authenticity and experience, not from pretending to be younger. This mindset helped Carmen carve out a unique niche in an industry about to learn that beauty isn't bound by age. Look 3. The Silver Renaissance on the runway. Carmen Dell'Orefice's comeback soon blossomed into a full-fledged silver renaissance in the 1980s and beyond. Far from being a nostalgic figure of the past, she became a sought-after model all over again, in her 50s, 60s, and even 80s. This era of Carmen's career is a testament to her enduring charisma and professionalism. With her regal silver hair and unparalleled poise, Carmen began to dominate a space almost entirely new, high-fashion modeling for the mature woman. In 1984, she graced the cover of Quarantine magazine, a publication aimed at stylish women over 40. The message was clear: Carmen was the face of ageless style. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, she became a regular presence in major fashion magazines and advertising campaigns, something virtually unheard of for a woman of her age at the time. Carmen modeled for prestigious brands and designers across the spectrum, from Rolex watches to Isaac Mizrahi's clothing line at Target, from luxury fashion houses to beauty brands. Her image appeared in Vogue, W, and Harper's Bazaar on a nearly annual basis. If you flipped through a glossy magazine in those years, you might well spot Carmen's elegant face selling a product or starring in an editorial spread, radiating the same magnetism she had as a teen model, only now with the grace and confidence of life experience. Carmen also returned to the runway, making headline-grabbing appearances on the catwalk. Imagine the applause as she strode out, decades older than the typical 20-something model, yet commanding presence like no other. Top designers enlisted her for their shows. The likes of John Galliano, Jean-Paul Gaultier, and Thierry Mugler all had Carmen walk for their runway collections in the 1990s and 2000s. She became a living symbol on the runway, fashion's way of saying that beauty has no expiration date. One memorable campaign in her 80s saw Carmen front the luxury Austrian brand Airfield's collection in 2016, replacing a much younger Hollywood actress as the brand's muse. By then, Carmen was in her mid-80s, officially one of the world's oldest working supermodels, yet there she was on billboards and magazines, looking as stunning and modern as ever. The fashion industry began to recognize Carmen Dell'Orefice, not just as a novelty, but as a trailblazer. In 2011, the University of the Arts London awarded her an honorary doctorate for her contributions to fashion, celebrating her groundbreaking career. They even curated a retrospective exhibition of her work, from vintage Vogue covers to personal photographs, underscoring the depth of her influence. That same year, Guinness World Records acknowledged Carmen for having the longest career as a runway model in history. And incredibly, nearly 70 years after her first Vogue appearance, Carmen was still cover-worthy. In her 80s, she shot fresh covers for international editions like Italian Vogue, proving the point that her appeal spans generations. To put this in perspective, a Vogue spread in 1946 introduced her as a teen, and a Vogue cover over 65 years later showcased her as an icon, the same woman, reinvented yet timeless. Look 4. Legacy of an ageless fashion icon. Carmen Dell'Orefice's legacy is deeply woven into the fabric of fashion history. Over more than 7 decades, she not only adapted to the changing styles, she became an agent of change herself. In an industry often obsessed with youth, Carmen emerged as a symbol of ageless elegance, showing that sophistication and glamour do not diminish with time. Her influence has helped pave the way for a broader acceptance of older models and diverse age representation in fashion. Today, when you see an 80-year-old model starring in a fashion campaign or a magazine celebrating beauty at every age, you're witnessing the ripple effect of Carmen's trailblazing example. One of Carmen's great impacts on culture is how she redefined beauty standards. By simply continuing to do what she loved, modeling, she challenged the idea that only the young can be fashionable. Decades before terms like age inclusivity became buzzwords, Carmen was living proof of the concept. She maintained that each stage of life has its own beauty. "I've always been mindful of my age and how I earn my living," she said, emphasizing that she embraced who she was in every era. While many in Hollywood or fashion tried to appear younger, Carmen proudly modeled elegant looks tailored to her age, telling a story of confidence rather than anti-aging. Her message, aging is not a flaw, but a natural and even beautiful process, especially when met with poise, health, and style. Her personal philosophy resonates as a key part of her legacy. Carmen often shares advice with younger generations, urging them to be true to themselves. In interviews, she has said that style is more about taste than money, and encourages women to copy nobody but express their own personality. In other words, authenticity and self-confidence are the greatest beauty secrets, lessons she exemplified throughout her life. Despite facing significant hardships, from financial ruin, even twice losing her life savings, to heartbreak and single motherhood, Carmen remained resilient and focused on her craft. Each time life knocked her down, she returned with grace. This resilience is a cornerstone of her legacy. She taught us that passion and perseverance can triumph over adversity. Whether it was picking herself up after bankruptcy or striding down a runway after knee surgeries, Carmen's determination inspired colleagues and fans alike. The fashion industry has celebrated Carmen Dell'Orefice in countless ways, recognizing her as a living legend. American Vogue, the magazine that launched her career, paid tribute on her 85th birthday with an expansive feature of 100 archival photos spanning her modeling years. The spread showed Carmen transforming like a chameleon through each decade, yet always exuding that timeless aura. Designers and fellow models regard her with reverence. The first African-American Vogue cover model, Beverly Johnson, once remarked how Carmen keeps becoming more physically beautiful and graceful every day, even as she ages. Indeed, Carmen's high cheekboned, silver-haired visage has become iconic, representing not just one era, but the continuity of fashion's past, present and future. Moreover, Carmen's career helped usher in a slow but sure shift in fashion marketing. She proved that women of all ages could connect with audiences. Brands took note that an older model can inspire mature consumers and intrigue younger ones as well. After all, style and aspiration aren't exclusive to the young. In recent years, campaigns featuring older icons from Iris Apfel to Jane Fonda have become more common, and each time, it's hard not to see Carmen's pioneering influence in that trend. Within the modeling community, she has advocated for models' rights and well-being, using her decades of experience to call for more protections for the talent behind those glamorous images. Her voice carries the weight of history and hard-earned wisdom. The final look. From a teenage girl on a New York City bus to a nonagenarian cover star, Carmen Dell'Orefice's journey is a masterclass in longevity and authenticity. We've seen how she burst onto the scene as a 15-year-old Vogue model, navigated turbulent times that could have ended her career, and returned stronger to become fashion's guiding light for ageless beauty. Carmen's story teaches us about reinvention, how talent and tenacity can shatter every ceiling, including age. She has shown that true style is timeless, and that the fashion world at its best has room for every generation. As we conclude, we celebrate Carmen Dell'Orefice, not just for her stunning photographs or runway walks, but for the barriers she broke and the inspiration she continues to provide. Her legacy is living proof that passion never retires. Thank you for joining us in this deep look at a one-of-a-kind fashion icon. If you enjoyed this journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you won't miss our next fashion icon story. And let us know in the comments which legend you'd love to see featured in a future episode. Until next time, stay curious and inspired. This has been the Fashion Memoir.